I'm Alexandros Darna. I'm a composer, um, and I'm calling from New York. So my dad is Cuban and my mother is Cypriot. So in my music, I try to combine these two different, family backgrounds that I have. I don't know, it lends to itself. It's super cool because the Cuban side has lots of rhythm and lots of energy, and the Cypriot side has more maybe interesting scales or melodies, also rhythm and dance, but in a different way. So I try to find creative and cool ways to combine them in my music. I could combine a dance rhythm from Cuba and maybe a melody or a scale from the Middle East or Cyprus or Greece or something like that, or the other way around, where I incorporate, Balkan dance rhythms with an Afro-Cuban melody that I heard when I was there, something like that. I look for inspiration in any part of my life, and I just try to jot it down and have a long list of different ideas. And when I'm called to write a new piece, I just go through that list, and if something pops in my mind, I do that. And that was the case for the piece that Soli will perform. So my grandmother passed away in 2022. I was in the US at that time, so I wasn't there for the funeral. I went back home in the summer, and in August, they had this memorial service after 30 days. And in that memorial service, I felt very emotional, because I wasn't there when it happened. The music as well, I felt that the chants, the Byzantine chanting that we have in Greek Orthodox religion, I thought it was very cool and um, rich in musical material that I could use. So I just grabbed my phone and started recording. I recorded like 7 minutes, and in those 7 minutes, there was a little fragment, a little melody that I grabbed later, and I used it as my base for the whole piece to be built upon. So this piece is basically variations around that little fragment. At the same time, it's also a timeline of my grandmother's life from the beginning to the end. And it also incorporates a few melodies, folk melodies that have special significance had special significance in our relationship. I knew that I wanted to write a piece based on that melody, and this piece was basically the first piece that I wrote in my master's degree at Juilliard. So it was a new chapter for me. And so I just started sketching ideas, variations, different ideas that spread out of that little melody, and tried to put them together in a little timeline that made musical sense. Yeah, I tend to sketch fast, or I try to, and then try to edit slowly after the fact.
Hmm.
That was the case for this piece. I just started writing, I put stuff together, and then I started editing, and the editing process took much more time. The instrumentation was given to me because this piece was a commission
Hmm.
from a group of my friends. Basically, they were called the Yorkin Project, and they reached out. They wanted to do 3 concerts in Cyprus, and they commissioned a bunch of Cypriot young composers to write music for them. And it was in the summer of 2022, so it was right at that moment when I started recording that memorial service. So I just thought it was the right idea, because they wanted music that was also based in the musical traditions of Cyprus. So it just worked. So viola, clarinet, piano. Yeah. This piece was not super experimental in terms of, innovation or technique. It was challenging though in a different way. Um, it was a piece that it was super emotional and super connected to my personal life. So what I tried to do was to dive deep into my emotional reservoir and just try to channel some of that memory, some of that energy, and to create, a lyrical, emotional piece that would show you how I felt and how important was that relationship in my life. So in terms of that, that was a challenge because most of my previous pieces were more jubilant, more faster and more energetic, more dance-like. So this was a different piece. After this piece, I think I sort of went back to that previous Alexandros, that previous version of me writing exciting music. But I think a piece like this lends itself at certain moments of anyone's life. So I'm glad I wrote it and I feel very happy. Self-expression, definitely. Yeah, I think music is meant to be shared with others. So composing is just one form of sharing music. Like the same way as a violinist would play a recital for other people to experience that repertoire, experience the music. I write music for others to perform. So this collaboration was interesting when the piece was premiered because I was away in the US. The performers were in Europe. Uh, the three of them were in different places. So they practiced by themselves and then they got together at the, last week before the premiere. They rehearsed. So I didn't have a lot of say in the rehearsal process. But that was the Cypriot premiere. When I had the US premiere at Juilliard a few months later, I really enjoyed being part of the rehearsal process and actually listening and giving suggestion advice to the performers. And I also like to change stuff or revise stuff even after the first performance. I don't mind that because I don't think a piece is ever finished. We sort of continue and make it better and revise and make it better, but it's actually the deadline that makes you stop. Without the deadline, I would just continue making it better and better, I guess. It was the instrumentation that sort of worked. I had another piece that I could have submitted, but I decided to submit this, and because also it's a personal piece, and I feel that it has a lot of things to say, and it would connect with a larger audience. Not really. Since I'm still in school, I'm starting my doctorate next year at Juilliard. I try to put my hands on many different genres and many different ensembles to just experiment and see what I like or what is a challenge and what I want to become better at, what I want to work with this particular teacher or the other. So this past 6 years, I tried to do a little bit of everything: orchestra, chamber, solo, film. I did opera, and yeah, it was a. I still want to keep my hands and be as eclectic and as broad as possible. In film, music should not attract as much attention because you need to hear the words, you need to see what's happening on the screen. You also have many different things happening at the same time. Where in a concert hall, when you're writing, concert music, music is the center of your attention. So it can really take your focus and just take you to different places. Where in film, you work for the director in a way. Of course, you're gonna put your own spin to things and create that emotional environment for the film to, to sit in. But at the end, you do what the director wants. Yeah, and I got into film through school, basically through a film class at Manhattan School of Music first. I did a few little short films at my end of my undergraduate degree. And then I did another film class at Juilliard where I had an opportunity to work with directors from London, Australia, and Thailand. Yeah, in New York, you can really go to live music every day. There's so many different concerts and venues. I think my favorite place in New York is probably the Metropolitan Opera House in Lincoln Center. I really enjoy, being right next to it at Juilliard and getting tickets for dress rehearsals and operas, and it's just very fascinating. Opera is like I don't know, it just uses so many of these different art forms, and I think it was the film art form before the film happened. It just has everything together. Yeah, I just really enjoy going to live music at the Met, New York Philharmonic, Carnegie Hall, which hosts a bunch of different orchestras. If you're a musician, I think you should definitely consider New York for a little bit of your life. It was a short opera that I did this year at Juilliard. We had a program called OperaCom where each one of us wrote music for an opera and libretto for a different opera, and was the dramaturg for another one. So it was a fun process where we really got to know what an opera is like. I ended up writing an 18-minute opera with a few characters, and I don't know, I had so much fun doing it. In the next few years, I would just try to put as much of my focus into my doctorate degree, reading, writing, exploring who I am as an artist, and getting as much as I can from my new teacher, John Coriolano, getting as many opportunities as I can through Juilliard, and traveling around the world, having my music performed, explore more of my teaching skills, either privately or in a classroom, and enjoy the life of an artist. Right now, I am starting to write a piece for a string quartet for a summer program in Paris. After that, during July, I'll have to write a new piece for Hub New Music, which is a Boston-based ensemble. I'm going to Thailand at the Thailand Composition Festival, and they'll play that piece on August 16th. After that, I would love to start a new orchestra piece and submit that for a performance at Alice Tally Hall in New York next year. I have a website now, alexandrosdarna.com. I am on Facebook, Instagram, and you can check out my music on YouTube and SoundCloud as well. I think that's it.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this interview and want to see more like it, check out the 30 by 30 by 30 playlist on our channel. For more information about the 30 by 30 by 30 project, check out the website linked to the right.